city to grow and develop. And here you can see also the main explanations that it's important skills, intelligence, creativity, ideas, and also performance and implementation of ideas. And we asked also this question to our respondents in Valmiera city, what they mean, what it means, talented persons. And finally, we summarized that talented people excite others, create and implement ideas, and have good reasoning skills. And other literature review and studies are focusing on talent flows. It is important not only for the organizational level, but for cities and regions, how to attract talent. And one of the most significant ways how to attract talent is migration of talents. And many studies are focusing on migration in the context of talent attraction for both levels, for the organizational level and for cities. And why this migration is so important? Because migration is increasing productivity through diversity. And this is very important for the competitiveness, to increase productivity of companies, productivity of cities. How to measure talents and talent attraction for cities. I know that there are many researchers which are using big data and who are experts in this field. And yes, I can say that this is also opportunity how we can use big data for measurement, for studies of talent attraction for cities. Because all indexes are using different kind of indicators which are divided in different dimensions as economic, social, institutional, and so on. And also different kind of models are developed for these calculations to make ranks of the cities of talent attraction. And these data about number of population, about the density, about productivity are statistical data. But there are another part of data which is more challenging to make measurement, which are important for as secondary factors for the choice of living and working place. And it includes quality of life, culture, atmosphere of the city, design, is it modern or no? And these factors particularly are significant when talent need to make choice between 2 or 3 cities. And in this case, these intangible factors are more significant when people are making this choice, giving vote for the city to move. And our research is based on a case study of Valmiera. We are here, and we used a survey of experts, 25 experts who has excellent experience in a professional field, who has a broad international experience, who lived abroad for at least 1 year or more. And then we conducted interviews with people in Valmiera who are living here for a long time, who are recognized in society. Then we asked for, we made interviews with people who left Valmiera about the main factors why they did this choice. And as well as we made interviews with incoming people, with entrancers in Valmiera. And as I mentioned, then universities are important part for talent attraction. Then we conducted the online interview with our graduates, and we collected 81 valid answers from our respondents. Then finally, we also made benchmarking of 3 cities in Latvia, Ventspils, Rēzekne, Jelgava, and with 2 cities in our neighbor countries. One is Tartu in Estonia and Joensuu in Finland. And short this overview of Valmiera. There is more than 23,000 of population, and I would like to emphasize GDP per capita, that this is the second performance in Latvia when we are looking according to the cities. Then the number of enrolled students in 2017, it's almost 300. Valmiera is a member of the UNESCO Global Network of Learning Cities. And the main core strategic values of development strategy of Valmiera city are people, entrepreneurship, and urban environment. People on first place. Here you can see our benchmarking cities, and in all cities have universities and running through a river, which is very important for this urban environment, yes, in all cities. Here is benchmarking according to the number of population, population changes and population density among all these 6 cities. Then we can see GDP per capita. It's high, and it's not only high according to this benchmarking between cities, but it's also, for example, for Joensuu, it is high in if we are comparing with cities in Finland, and the same with Tartu in Estonia. And for all this, for Joensuu and Tartu, I would like to mention main sectors which are drivers for high performance and also for attraction of talents and professionals. That there are in Joensuu big university. They enrolled more than 2,000 students per year. There are developed food processing industry, including chemistry and bioeconomics. And also in Tartu, there are developed IT technologies and famous university which attracts foreign students and foreign teachers and researchers. And we wanted to clarify main factors for this choice to move from one city to another city. And we got such results from our expert panel. So the most important is work and career, then diversity of education infrastructure, which is important. The next place, urban area, surroundings, green and nature area, housing, transport network. Many of the respondents emphasized that it's important, that it's possible to achieve different places in a city on foot, that it's really important. And again, this is the challenge for the policy makers to make decision to develop more pedestrian streets, to focus on green types of transport solutions, or to build a new bridge, or to make streets with 2 or 4 lines. This is the challenging question. But also it is important for Thailand's climate conditions. If they have choice to go to 2 or 3 places for living. Yeah. Findings from this alumni survey, you can see reasons for staying in city, in this case in Valmiera, and reasons for living. And economic factors can be in both sides. For living, that they have better and higher paid workplaces. And in this graph, you can see a number of incoming our students and outgoing who after the studies, when studies was completed, that they moved from Valmiera. But we can see the higher numbers of incoming and who are staying here in Valmiera. This is one of the significant factors. Then, according to these interviews and survey, we divided 3 main target groups according to the ages. And the one is young people at the beginning of their career and family life. For them, it's most important this job, career, living space, housing, distance from a home, city, study offers, and attractive urban area, as well as emotional attachment. And for the second group, people at the career advancement stage, when children are a bit older, recognize that the key criteria for the attachment to a place residence is career challenges, that this is the most important. And this is the option for this smaller and medium towns, that it's possible to achieve this higher performance in particular niches as in huge cities. And people, well, career and business still important, but at the same time, they are very interested in lifestyle. They are looking for new offers and services, and it includes art and music performances in cities, that it's more important. They are going to spend vacation in metropoles in Europe, but at the same time they would like to receive these services in small and medium-sized cities. Of course, cities would like to attract high skills, with high skills, talents and professions. But at the same time, there are people with basic skills. And for the future, we can see that this group of persons with basic skills, that it could be the first target group who can be replaced by robots and technologies. That it means that these skills and knowledge we need more and more in future. But of course, in service industry, also we need these qualified workers with basic skills. In this medium skills, we need professionals who can operate with high technologies, who has these skills and knowledge how to work with robots. And of course, higher skills, they are talents who can develop and to make design for new technologies and robots. And finally, yes, I will be in time. We divided these 4 themes, which are very important. to attract talents for small and medium-sized cities. The first is education, science and creativity, and our findings confirms with literature studies and with best practice that it's very important, this education and research institutions. And this is the answer to a journalist question they asked me today, why this conference is important. I said the first that it's important that it's held here in Valmiera, that we are attracting already talents to Valmiera, that we have this networking, that it is the first step, and it's important because then we can increase this network for the future. But of course, we need to invest in this sector. And it includes not only higher education, it includes all levels of education. The next is urban environment. We need to take care because talents are mentioning that they need challenging work advertisements, but at the same time this urban area and design are very important for decision making. Infrastructure, environment friendly, and transport must be fast. For example, to reach Riga or Riga airport, that they would like 1.5 hours to be in capital. By comfortable trains, that it's possible to work and to prepare. And communication, we divided in 2 groups. We need to communicate with locals, that they are open mind people, and that they can accept the unfamiliar things, and also migrants. And then target groups for all these ages. And the final, yes, we need to strengthen this diversity and openness of society, but we can do also it in such a way that we can offer foreign performances, theaters, concerts, sport events, international. That this is a way how we can make this openness and understanding of differences. Also, our conference, that we are bringing different peoples from different parts of the world. Migration. I didn't find any example article which excludes migration as tool. It's absolutely in all research they are focusing on migration. And these emotional links and place attachment are important. If we would like to retain talents, then it works very well because they have good experience and good memories. And yes, and it includes these investments in education, research, and in infrastructure in general. Yes, and I agree that small and medium-sized cities are good choice for them who don't want to live in the capitals. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Agita, for your impressive presentation. Yeah, I think we will have some questions on this very hot issue, talent management.
Okay, thank you. We will have opportunity to discuss during the coffee break. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. It was really impressive and practical knowledge. Yeah, it's even hard to ask questions. Yeah. Yeah. The next presentation we have. From Finland, yeah, from Finland, yeah. We have Ika Lakaniemi, is the director of Center of Knowledge and Innovation Research. Yeah, it's how to proceed. What do we mean on knowledge, innovation, research, and how to? And the presentation is sustainable national economy and knowledge society in the era of intelligent technologies and platforms. I understand that our students should know that in future the rich people will be owners of platforms. When I was student, then the rich people were owners of factories. But now time has changed, and I think the ICA will tell us something very, very hot.
Thank you, Atis. It's a great pleasure to be here, and many thanks for the kind invitation to come to Valmiera. It's my first time in Latvia, but it will not be the last. I will be here later on as well, bringing my family, I think, with me. Especially the weather, when you look in the outside and coming from Finland, it's always a pleasure to come to a warmer place. So this is a good opportunity. The first presentation that we just heard, I think it will have links to what I'm going to tell. So I will be focusing more or less the same type of an issue, but in a wider context. So when you think about the national economy or the European economy or what the businesses should actually be doing in this regard. My personal background is such that in the 1990s I was an academic. It works now? Yeah. Both in the US and in Finland. And then I worked for industry for a 12-year stint. And now I'm kind of a halfway doing both the business side and the working for the university in Finland. So bear with me with the slides and with the very, very long title. I don't know why I wrote such a long title in there, because the basic things that I will be focusing today are, I think, in a very simplistic. They are issues that are easy to do, and they are part of kind of coming from the experience on how not to do things. And I think that's important, that we're learning from the ways that we've been trying out to have more innovation, to have more economic growth, and to have more the interaction between the business and academia and the public sector in general. So let's see, where should I point this? Here. Yep. No? Did I do something wrong? As you can see, I'm not an engineer. This one here. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Okay, I pushed the wrong button. Very good. So without further ado, I know there are other speakers before me. So the reason why I listed this here, it's not the fact that there are so many different things that have been going in the past, but basically they all bring forward ideas and innovation and information on how not to do things, like I said. So the first that you will see in there is related to an EU Future Internet Public-Private Partnership. It was a huge project, 600 million euros, over 100 different participants, and I was the chairman of the project for that period of time. And within that, we did many things right. We did many things exactly by the book, so that you had academia, you had businesses, you had the public sector, policymakers involved, both at the EU, at the member state level. But at the same time, there was something missing about the value creation part and the sustainability of taking that forward. Luckily, it has been changed in a way that there is actually a sustainability model for this, and there is an open source foundation currently in place in Berlin, where the outcome of that project is now going to be delivered and distributed to businesses all over Europe and actually also globally. But it gave us some ideas on how do you do this in a European, on a regional level, and what are the lessons learned from that side. Then on the other side, the other thing that I would like to point out from there is the national strategies. So I've been working with the Finnish national strategies, with the German national strategies around Industry 4.0, Actually also lately with the Brazilian strategy on Industry 4.0. And in all of those, there are commonalities. We're all talking about the same technologies. We're talking about AI. We're talking about data management. We're talking about issues that are common no matter what country you go to. It's more or less the same. But at the same time, in many of those cases, you're still doing things in silos. You're doing things in verticals. You're not looking into the kind of holistic areas that what are the things that you really need to change within the society and the economy to go beyond the silos. So that kind of a silo thinking is very much present in national strategies. And luckily, in some national strategies, they are recognizing that fact and actually now looking for that what is the glue that you need in order to go beyond the vertical thinking or sectoral thinking to that matter. And maybe that's the key learning also for the next steps that we are currently taking, is that in order to address these problems here, and I think I should stand in front and here so I can see the slides myself a little bit better. So when you look into these kind of common elements that we are all facing, no matter whether we're here in Valmiera or we are in Helsinki in Finland, it's all about the same things. We're looking into a platform ownership world, like Atis put it in a way, that you have to have a winning business model, you have to have an understanding of the technologies, and you have to scale it very fast. And you have to scale it globally instead of looking into local business models of that kind. So as we are facing these problems, many people are saying that, especially with the people that I know in Silicon Valley, that don't even bother, that don't try to compete in this field, that you lost the game already. And basically, in some areas, that might be the case. But when you look into the strengths of European economies and European industries, in the business-to-business area, we have not lost the game because the game is barely starting. And that the reason being that even if that you're talking about global markets for B2B, production is highly local. And the way how the logics of production actually happens, there are cultural characteristics, there are things that don't scale that well. And basically that means that there are plenty of opportunities for smaller players, for smaller platforms, for platforms that are not Uber-like or Facebook-like to actually win in this B2B market as such. If they can tackle these areas, if they can look into that, how do you actually tap into the innovation landscape? This is exactly what Atis and his colleagues are doing in here by inviting more people internationally in here to share ideas and really taking the thinking forward. And understanding that innovation models that we previously had are something that need to be changed, and they need to be changed in a way that they are centered on competitiveness. Nothing else matters. You really have to look into the fact that how do you stay and maintain your current status in the global market, and how do you increase your competitiveness for the future opportunities. And in that areas, yes, platforms in a very broad manner. So not only technology platforms, but who builds the winning ecosystem. And how do you build that ecosystem not in a centralized fashion, but in a decentralized fashion, so that there is a win-win for all the participants within that ecosystem. It's easy to say, but it's very hard to actually build that type of a system. Because in most cases where you have innovation ecosystems, people are always looking for an engine company or one centralized party that will actually take the ecosystem forward. And only now we're starting to learn that how do you really build a proposal where everyone gets something, and not only one single player as such. A lot of work, whether in Europe or in national strategies, obviously centers now around AI. But AI is an enabler. It is a technology. AI doesn't save the national economy. It doesn't suddenly bring new growth and new boom for the nation states. So we need to understand and put the AI in context. Not all of us will be AI gurus or workers in the high levels of doing AI tools and that type of things. And that matters when you look into the first presentation and the attraction of future workforce and getting the skills right for the future workforce. So instead of, I would argue that we will actually see much more augmented workforce solutions where the people are not being replaced by robots, but where the robots and the humans are working side by side. And that's where the future of the factories and the industry is actually going, that we're looking in ways that how certain part of the automated process is being handled by a robot or a machine, but then you have the machine to human interaction within the factory that becomes crucial. And what type of skills does the workforce of that kind actually need? And I think you're well on the way with the VR and the augmented reality programs that you're doing here in Valmiera for that respect. This is obviously that when the industry side we are currently facing. So the thing is that everything will be connected, we all know that. And basically what it currently results is that in almost everything that is now being produced, there is a sensor that connects to the internet. Then what you do with the data, that's the biggest question. Because sometimes you collect the data, but you don't really have an understanding or an idea what to do with that type of a data beyond predictive maintenance type of activities. Everything automated, already mentioned, and smart. And smart in a broad context, again, whether it's the devices that are smarter or whether it's the human that need to be smarter. Someone asked me yesterday over the dinner that the future of workers, what it will look like. Will the workers be somehow being replaced by smarter machines, like we discussed about robots? But I think the future of the workers is that you will have, like in the previous presentation, different tiers of type of workers and workforce that you will be needing. Not all of us will be there and high skilled, but there are many tasks that the machines will not ever be able to do, even in the basic skills or in the lower skills. So we need to bear that in mind. Further on the intelligent tools that we need to master, I think it's a familiar list to anyone. And when you look into the current status of the European research and the European industries, we are well positioned in all of these. All the people that I know who teach manufacturing, future manufacturing, for instance, in Berkeley, California, come from Europe. All the professors. All the leading scientists on AI field are primarily coming from Europe, some from China, some and from the US. But we have people there that understand the future of AI as is. And when you think about cybersecurity, by far, European companies are leading in this field. And mobility, obviously, is another one. There's a lot of talk about, I have a Nokia background, so we can discuss that later on, what went wrong and what we did right. But basically, the thing is that 5G, as we have been learning from the media and learning from different sources, is one of the killer areas that we will master as Europeans. And we need to continue that. So the kind of the recommendations that we need to understand, and that what you need to have in place to have a sustainable economy, so that produces growth, that produces productivity and industrial performance of the kind. You always hear more about the negativities of this, that we are missing in productivity, that we are lacking in industrial performance, that we are somehow always late, like I said, with these people that I know in the Silicon Valley. But in the industrial scene, these are the areas where we're actually advancing quite rapidly. We are making strides in industrial performance, in really getting the productivity gains out of the technology that we invest to, but we cannot do it without the skilled people. So if you don't remember anything more out of my presentation, it's the last bullet point in there. It's the skills, skills, skills. And it sounds easy, but it's very difficult actually to know that what the companies need a few years ahead from this time. And then working together with those companies, and I mean really integrating the trainings and the research you do, working with those companies, but understanding also that not everything needs to be applied. There can be areas where basic research is very much called for as well. So in order for, whether it's Finland or Latvia, there is a model that we are currently generating on top of the research and the experience that we have had. And it's a new model where basically the key things are that we are generating an industry best practice for a group of companies that already have signed an agreement to trust to each other. So that those companies are already in cohorts in a way that they understand that by sharing, they're not losing. Because in most cases, sharing is scary for the companies. And it's something that they would like to avoid. And when you ask the lawyer in a company, they say that it's a risk. But in this case, when you go beyond that, and you build a proposal where they understand that that sharing of best practices, sharing of data, really building something together is something that we can do, and you can win each company of that. It's a new model, and it takes a lot of time to build on that. But basically, the company that I currently work for is called Combient and has 28 leading companies in Sweden and Finland doing exactly that. Sharing ideas, sharing ways of working, and really doing things together. And the novelty there is that, yes, you have had industry-led innovation ecosystems in place in many countries, but in this case, we are not relying on public funding. We are relying on the funding and the investments that come from the companies themselves. And therefore, working with the public sector doesn't imply that we are there with our hand like this, that please give us the money for doing this and going ahead with the research side, but we are inviting the government to participate in our activity as a partner. And in that type of an environment, you're basically erasing some of the bad experiences that I have had, for instance, in the research projects where basically everyone is just waiting for the money to exchange hands. But in this case, that's not the incentive in there. So co-creation in a real way, and sharing the way of how do you do continuous learning for the workforce and for the employees, and going beyond these siloed vertical innovation policy systems towards, in the IoT words, the systems of systems, so that you really understand the holistics. Yes, you can have a team of people that are kind of narrowly specialized and looking into different areas, but you always need one person in that team that is able to do and understand that what it is that we are actually doing and where we're heading from here 3 to 5 years ahead. And those type of people are in high demand within the industries. We need specialists, but we need these people who are able to understand that why we do certain things. And that's the type of people that are the highly skilled people that were basically mentioned earlier on. And the key things, and I'll end in here, don't want to eat too much in the time of Anna, is the security and trust. Yesterday at dinner, we were talking about fake news, we were talking about cybersecurity, we were talking about the different areas that Valmiera, for instance, is centering around. And yes, the technology solutions are part of that. But the key thing is that we actually share values. And we share mentalities, we share things between, whether it's the Combient companies between Sweden and Finland doing things in certain ways. But at the same time, when you look into the European context, there are ways in this business-to-business area where it's very easy for us to do things together and share those best practices that I mentioned earlier on. But it requires a trusted environment, and that trust, yes, you can have the cybersecurity solutions in there in place, but most importantly, an open environment for sharing the information. That will take some time, but when you have that in place, then you will have that future competitiveness that we are all striving for. But I'll end in here, and many thanks again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ilkka, for a very forward-looking presentation. And I think we will have questions. At least I have one. Yeah, please. Yeah.
That's a tough question, but basically, if I give you one thing, that it's communication. So basically, how do you and I, for instance, would be working in a team, and how do you build that team to be a good performer within the company and the economy? So yes, I think many people were waiting for me to say AI or big data or that type of things, but interestingly enough, what we have found is that you can have these highly skilled experts on those, but if they don't communicate with each other in the working environment, you really don't get that productivity that you are expecting from the team. And robots cannot replace humans in communication and personal skills. So that will be one of the high skills in demand. Very good.
Thank you. One more question.
I'm glad, Andrew, that you mentioned that, because that's exactly the thing, that a lot of the things that we require some time to happen, which is this kind of a business mindset change and the cultural things that don't happen overnight. But like you said, we have actually a lot of the technology elements already in place and being developed. So I would say that the technology here is not the biggest issue. It's really kind of implementing what we already have in a novel way.
Thank you. I had one question. Could you comment on the critical size of platforms? Do you estimate that there is city size, national country size, global size, or could you comment on such?
So obviously, when you look into the current literature, or I actually 2 weeks ago I met with Marshall van Alstyne from MIT, and he's written a book about platform economies, and I told him in a discussion that I fail to see a world where you will have a Facebook-like industrial platform, and the reason being that in a consumer world you can do it. But in the B2B world and the industrial world, you cannot. And there are many reasons why. But basically the thing is that for certain cases, for B2B platforms in the production areas and different vertical areas, they can be extremely local. And they can be something that would be centered around, say, Valmiera, or the one place that was mentioned, it's actually that I know the best, which is Joensuu, where there is a lot of these wood processing industries, and they're one of the biggest vendor of the forest tractors. Ponsse is located. And Ponsse is a global company situated in Joensuu, but a lot of the things that they're building their own technology platform. And that technology platform and then is being open to developers through open source tools. So that's the type of things that I do see that will increasingly be in place.
Thank you very much, Ilkka. It was excellent presentation. The next presentation we have from our keynote speaker, Professor Anna Carbone. She is from Applied Science and Technology Department in University Politecnico di Torino in Italy, and her presentation is again on digital platforms for interoperable, secure and sustainable ecosystems. Yeah? We have two important issues together, platforms and ecosystems. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for being here and for the invitation to come in Valmiera. It's, let's say, not my first time in Latvia. I have been here and in the other Baltic countries many times, but my first time in this wonderful place, and thank you for the invitation again and again, and I hope that this will be just the beginning of a successful cooperation between our institutions. I have to mention that this presentation starts from a number of interactions that we had together with the Riga Technical Universities, and in particular with the ATIS group, starting a few years ago in the framework of a flagship initiative of the European Commission, and then it was followed by another flag era initiative. And so there are many things and many issues that are strictly and directly connected with the previous presentations, and in particular with the social aspects that Ajita was mentioning during her first talk, and with the economic issues that have been raised by Ilka. But now we want to go a bit further in this discussion, trying to maybe identify some practical recipe on how to address these issues. So what we are developing together with the people we are interacting here is that one of the most urgent and probably most successfully sectors where these concepts that have been mentioned before is indeed the agriculture sector. So I'm not sure that I will be able to go to the next. Okay, so starting for a very broad overview of what have been identified as the 10 global sustainability challenges. These were identified in 2014, so already 5 years ago, and so you can see that the first of these challenges that have been identified by the World Economic Forum is agriculture and food security. So it is for sure not just our own idea that agriculture should be one of the main issues, because actually agriculture, food and environment, let's say environment and resource security is really closely related to the first issue, and this might be something that can really involve all society, the European, at the European level and beyond, because this is something that is of primary importance for everyone in the world. So food security, food availability, and also now we are facing the environmental challenges in front of us. So how can we address our societal challenges and economic challenges by just fixing on these main issues and needs of all the world population today? So we can start from this very clear and instructive projection that tell us that there has been an inversion in the urban to rural population over the years. So starting after the Second World War and going 1 century forward, we can see that the urban population will overcome of 2,000 or 3,000 units the rural population. This is a very big problem that has been mentioned during the first talk, and it is not only a demographic issue, because when our rural regions are depopulated, this is not just a demographic issue. So probably we should start thinking of not, I would not say reversing our policies, because till now we were focused on the smart cities, and so very often it happens that our policymakers decided to revert their policies. This is not really the case. What we have to do now is try to create an interacting ecosystem between the smart cities and the smart villages all around. So it is not reverting a policies, but extending policies beyond smart cities. So therefore, what is the most immediate area where we can act practically? It is for sure the agriculture sector that is related not only to the transformation of food, but also to many other issues. For example, tourism is also closely related to the agriculture sectors. So this is really a very complex supply chain, as you can see, starting from the fields and going to the storage, and then to the food processor and food manufacturer and distributor and retailer and kitchen. There are many issues that should be addressed, moving from the fields, from the rural region, and going to the maybe the biggest, largest cities in our region. So how can we reason in order to identify the Internet of Things or digital platform as facilitator of the supply chain? This is something that has been already implemented at many other levels, for example, in medicine or in transportation and in many manufacturing sector. But as you can see, smart agriculture is really at the bottom of this ranking for implementation of digital technology in as facilitator of the supply chain or the transformation processes and whatever you can involve in the smart agriculture idea. So, so there are big opportunities for development in these specific sectors. And anyway, as I mentioned before, the digital transformation of the agri-food sector, the rural villages, is not just a problem of supply chain management. It might be in some other manufacturing sector that is not related directly with society and with individuals. So the approaches should go beyond the industrial or economic targets and objectives, but should involve many social and environmental aspects in order to succeed. So we should be open to an interdisciplinary, cross-sectorial approach to this problem, because this is only the win-to-win approach that can make it working, because all people care about their environment, the farmer care about their farms, their children, and so everyone is emotionally involved in the problem. That is not the same when we talk about the industry 4.0 in general as the transformation of an industrial sector that might be everywhere, that does not care each of us in person, because we have children, we have family, we have elderly, and so we care of our people. And so if we care of people, we should take into consideration all these dimensions of the problem. So, what are a few social emerging challenges that have been already mentioned, so I will not insist any longer on this. So first of all, security concerns, cultural change management, because you can easily imagine that farmers are very linked to their traditions in their remote regions, and also citizens are very linked to their traditions. So cultural change management is an issue. Privacy concern, lack of convincing business case, so this should be the work by ILCA, and timely project management. All these aspects should be considered in such initiative. So, what can we do? We can identify, first of all, primary sectors that are really key sectors of economy for Europe, but not only for Europe. And so we can identify, for example, livestock or fruit or cereal sectors where these kind of concepts can be deployed. These are main sectors of the European economy. Probably many things will change because there are exchanges across countries, and hopefully there will be more exchanges. But linked to these primary sectors, we have many transnational secondary sectors that are of primary importance for the local and transnational development of our country. So I just mentioned wine and salami and cheese and pizza. So all what we want to have for these primary and secondary sectors of the agri-food economy is security, trust. We want to have the best for our family, for our children. So one of the technology that we are proposing and we are experiencing in the agriculture and environmental sector is the blockchain technology as an enabler of the global value supply chain. So we want to be sure that we have real production that are good enough, and so this is something that can ensure security, tracking origin of food, and also have a distributed access to the network that can be of primary importance to reach even the most remote regions. So this is an example of the application of the blockchain protocol to the wine production sector. And another sector that is for us very central is the augmented and virtual reality for animal wealth and for animal safety. There might be really a plethora of application of this technology that we had the opportunity to discuss yesterday with your experts here in the laboratory. And so one of the main ideas is to create structured platforms that can be used even remotely in order to manage livestock and intensive and extensive livestock. Of course, this picture here is for fun, but this might be another smart application with Google Glasses. The animal can just take their weight by themselves. It might be some application, but there might be other. And again, blockchain might be used even for meat and other product, and also tracking the circularity of the production process. This is another main aspect in order to implement more and more processes based on circularity and reuse and recovery of waste product. And so this can be, for sure, accelerated by digital platforms. So I think that I talked too long. And so these are examples, and this was, okay, almost the last one. And thank you, everyone, for your attention.
Thank you very much, Anna. It's really very important because in our Vidzeme, we have bioeconomy is one of the priorities. It's among the key challenges, yeah. And I think we will have questions. I have one question.
Yes,
how do you see, could this digital age change the type of living in countryside? Because now the population is going down, yeah, something is not okay. Do you see these digital innovations as a condition to change the culture in countryside?
Yeah, it is not really a direct effect, but it might be a side effect of the digitalization, because as Agnieszka was mentioning at the beginning, one reason, among many reasons for talented or just young people to move to big cities is that they would like to have some more challenging conditions, so some more interesting environment, and so creating a more active and dynamic environment also in the most remote region of Europe or any countries. This might be let's say, an additional motivation for young, talented people to find what they are looking for in their smart villages rather than moving to big cities. And also, it might be a way to attract not so young, but adults that are living in big cities that want to move to smart villages without losing the opportunities they have in bigger cities.
Ilka had a question. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think coffee break is also approaching, yeah? And now we have coffee break. How many minutes?
Thank you.
I think it's 25 minutes, is it? Yeah? So we are coming back on in 11:50, yes. Yeah, so I wish you a nice coffee break. Yeah, and in 25 minutes we are back to continuing our conference. Thank you. Thank you very much for good coffee break. And we are continuing our session, our conference, and we have three keynote presentations again. And the first we have from our university, Vidzemes University of Applied Sciences, Professor Arnis Cīrulis. He is expert in virtual augmented reality. Yeah, it means we will speak on instruments of people of tomorrow. Yeah, and his presentation is involvement and trends to develop projects based on virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality technologies. Yeah, so the floor is yours.
Thank you, Artis. Welcome to Vidzemes University of Applied Sciences. First part I attended remotely via YouTube. I thought that there's full, but now I think most of faces which I saw yesterday. So maybe we can continue talk what we started yesterday. So I don't have typical presentation for today. So as I represent virtual and augmented reality technologies, I tried to do some experiment also with my presentation. And I would like to go back to our Faculty of Engineering and our laboratory to Tarbet Street. I will skip some videos which you saw maybe yesterday, but at the beginning I want to introduction about these interactive technologies, the present situation and the future situation regarding to hardware devices, which is very important to use them, and why are we buying them. We see numbers and they're very optimistic, and most of them I agree, maybe not so much with smart glasses, but precision here is not so important as tendency that wherever I go, this is not anymore like a very specific laboratory to come to Vidzemes University. I would say everyone has VR glasses available. VR devices are in your pockets. Augmented reality devices are in your pocket. So I mean, smartphones can be very useful and powerful devices also to interact and engage with these technologies. But what's more important without these devices? A lot of research is going on, how to develop, how to make better resolution, how to make more natural interaction with gestures, with motion recognition, wider angles for virtual reality, for augmented reality. But what is more important? More important is contents. There are stereotypes that these technologies mostly are for gamers, for entertainment, and these numbers also doesn't depict all situation. But again, tendencies that we see video entertainment is only a small part. We see video games, but it's not entertaining games. So serious gaming, game-based learning, gamification scenarios, healthcare, military, education, some of these disciplines join together and offer simulation and training environments, so they are all somehow related to education, use of these technologies in different areas of education. So one key factor is development of contents for various industries, and this is what we do, what we try to do, what we want to do in our lab. But as we are more technology-related laboratory and Faculty of Engineering and software development engineering with specialization in development of and designing of VR, AR environments, there is a lot of research should be done also in these key sectors. This is very recent data related what should be and what should be done in eye tracking, motion tracking, 3D audio, haptics, field of view, cloud computing, web VR, also comfort using these devices. So these are very technical, but very important. We could apply our contents in real use cases, and still it's big challenge. But I would say that technological side is now ready, but implementation, if we're talking about using these devices at schools, so for wide communities, society, then it's still a big challenge. We know decades ago virtual reality was used in military, in industry, industrial training, mobile industry, but now as these technologies are available for everyone, not all use cases are in applied in real life. What we are trying to do, and a lot of projects are we are getting involved in more and more projects, and also I receive messages from our partners, which are also developing different solutions based on these interactive immersive technologies. We need gurus who can develop, who can bring these solutions, ideas to life, because innovations, visionaries, there are many crazy ideas. And also when we organize hackathon, there are 3 types of participants in this development of VR, AR projects, and imagine which tickets are sold first. Whether are these developers or 3D modelers? No, these are visionaries. So everyone has idea, vision, which what they want to bring live. So, and as Faculty of Engineering, our new master program specializes in creating such specialists who can develop and bring to life these new ideas. And for this, a lot of technologies are important. Yesterday you visited our lab and somehow get introduced some of devices. Okay, it's not easy to provide possibility to try different solutions in real life or a big auditory, but you are welcome anytime to my lab, discuss different ideas, try technologies. Technologies are possible to try also in Riga, in Tartu. There are available VR arcades, so I encourage people to try these technologies. Because to provide interdisciplinary approach, when we develop such contents, also pedagogy is important for us, teachers are important for us, but more important are that this other side is also interested and motivated to use these technologies. And I noticed that many times people want to just attach VR, AR, but even haven't tried. And then to visualize this idea, what are we going, what are our goals? It's not impossible, but it's not interesting for us, and usually such a result isn't well implemented. Technically, yes, it's possible. I don't know, haven't counted. Okay, we have very old devices, but it's like 50 units of different devices, gadgets for your visual sense, for your haptics, for your motion capturing device. But in real life, there are not so many which you can use in real use cases. So basically for augmented reality, we talk about 3 sets: Meta goggles, Microsoft HoloLens, Magic Leap goggles. So, and these results are getting from performance point of view and effect already possible to use in real world scenarios. And for virtual reality, when we are fully immersed in a 3D environment, top is Oculus Rift, of course HTC Vive Pro, very good latest Pro version, and wireless module provide us to use these technologies wirelessly, so kind of important if we want to feel more and more comfortable in this environment, because wireless is important. And latest, which will include a new approach how we interact in the environment. So also very easy to set up, and this device, we are still waiting for it. I had the opportunity to test it, but it's not yet not yet offered. But this device offers us very easy use of virtual reality with high performance. Imagine as you are using your phone. Because what we see yesterday in laboratory, it's a big setup, lot of stations, calibrations, configurations, and it usually takes a lot of time. And so to Oculus Quest is definitely also from HTC. These Cosmo goggles are definitely the future if we're talking about broader use of these devices. And results, okay, I skipped some projects, but we have many. We started like 10 years ago with industrial training, very bad graphics, but with stereoscopic screens, kind of cave systems, but today I decided to jump like 4 years ago because some interesting and very perspective projects what we have related to training, serious gaming, but again, it's somehow they are interdisciplinary projects, but not always. And I respect and our community, which is growing and very open to collaboration, also among universities, University of Latvia, Rēzekne, Ventspils, also secondary level schools which are interested in using such contents, provides possibility to develop in more strategic way to provide these solutions use in real classrooms. Because in this case, what we solved is motion recognition. We are technical people. We are interested how to capture human movements, how to recognize different gestures, how to interact in very interesting and engaging ways with the auditory, providing anatomy training, for example. So this is one of the examples. We can find research that such type of solutions provides better results in the classroom, that using motion capturing we can get precise and more interactive, like real-time depiction of contents. And but what I want to say, if we use in study programs or in classrooms such technologies, we don't need to completely switch to them. But I imagine book, I imagine a picture in a book. This is just 5, 10, half a minute experience, very intense experience. How we can visualize information and engage classroom. Other example was serious gaming, also gaming 3D environments in virtual reality, augmented, available on various devices for study process, like playing game, but you study at the same time and get impression about different facts related to history or tourism. Like this example, traveling in Valmiera, Riga street, visualized buildings in different times. So we can achieve this idea also very easily with 360 videos and photos, but to get history, we need help of virtual reality and 3D modeling. Other example is for interaction, different input devices. So how we use, if we have like, how we replace keyboard, traditional device with mouse. This is also kind of already traditional, but still widely used. I'm not so good at it, but somehow I'm trying. For example, a Mio gesture. Mio gesture device which recognizes your muscle contractions, and you can define different gestures. So sounds very nice. We can see very beautiful marketing videos about this device, but in real life, sometimes you get a bit confused, because it takes, again, a lot of calibration, learning how to use this device, and it's not very natural. So, and this is what our laboratory researchers are doing by use of this device to understand more and more which is a suitable device for nowadays solutions. I'm skipping some of these videos which I had yesterday. Already, again, interaction in augmented reality. Don't pay attention that, okay, that we are making snowmen in master students are building, but we are solving real problems here to interact with 3D contents. We saw yesterday presentation like Magic Leap, what we can see as these holograms in one-to-one size, but one thing in VR, AR is that you only see things, but our case is to interact with these environments and to build more and more intellectual environments. Interdisciplinary approach with our simulation modeling direction, where we build simulation models for the various industries here, like meteorology and fluid visualization in cities based on meteo data, also visualization of oxygen level, temperature levels in the public buildings, where we need to consider how many users. So there are types of, when we use simulation models and the validation, we can use real sensors to measure this data in a real environment. Yesterday I didn't show you this video, but this video is like new approach what we deliver to rehabilitation. So we do exercise, develop new input devices to interact with this VR environment, doing exercises for some medical training, and like physiotherapy, use of physiotherapy. Solution which is future. If you see these previous solutions, it's like you are solo in environment with VR models, but future is free room approach when we are moving, when we are interacting with other users, which are real, which are also virtual avatars. So, and in this case, again, simple solution, which developed how we connect different users by augmented reality. Simple scenario like playing football, but playing football in like this room, but you see virtual ball, score, and so using these technologies already connected in the network. We are not very successful developing our own hardware devices, but okay. There have been some tries in some hackathons developing head-mounted displays. And last, jump to more serious. What are research is done by our master students. So these are some projects. We touched the topic about cyber sickness. Cyber sickness is very, very important thing which must be considered related to development of user experience. What devices are we using? What models? How we interact with the environment? And a lot of topics now include with validation, with researcher approach, how we can use these rehabilitation tasks, physiotherapy, also in other industries, museum solutions, and etc. Doctoral research, one interesting, was related to computer vision. Computer vision, also we talk about like future augmented reality, but here some classic approach is still used when we try to visualize markers. Our one good partner, Overly, is doing such applications for their customers. So visualizing different objects, starting from books and table games till museums, exhibitions, large-scale environments. And so it's quite actual topic to improve this process of depiction, of recognizing different markers, and to build like system to avoid collisions between similar markers. If we want that these technologies is used by wide population, so there is a problem with these markers that some customers can see such information which other customers ordered, and it's a big challenge to avoid such situations. Research where I'm involved is related to how we bring augmented reality outdoors. If we saw spacemen yesterday in the environment of laboratory, some interesting holograms, and idea is to bring this idea outdoor in a larger scale environment. So basically we can work with nowadays goggles inside room, tracking, recognizing, but to work outdoors we're talking about distances longer. We started this idea several years ago, did a lot of job with GPS positioning, but now we try to use ultra-wideband tracking, which is common, the new technology used in sport tracking. So we are getting quite good results. We tried with one user, we tried with 10 users, testing different scenarios, scripts, amount of rendering performance. And I believe this will be a future. So for free room concept, for collaboration, 5G, when we want to interact and connect different remote areas and working in 3D environment. So this kind of future, but one problem solved, there are another problems. And when we come back to cyber sickness, so it's good that you can walk in virtual reality. It avoids cyber sickness. When you're moving with your keypad, it's not very natural way. But next problem is to track your body parts, your arms, because it also causes cyber sickness if you don't see your body. So you have very accurate position, but if you look on yourself and you don't see yourself, it's very, very confusing. So, and the latest experiments, and I get introduced also in conference in IEEE conference. There were a lot of solutions where we use this passive haptics. So sounds complicated, but passive haptics means that you do replica of a real environment in a virtual environment. So it means that when you take a glass of water, you see it also a glass of water in virtual reality. So, but what is more important is that you feel the touch, we're talking about different gloves technologies, force feedback, digitizers, whatever, but no one of these high-tech devices can provide simple sense when you're touching the real glass. And I had the opportunity to try different environments, and it's working really well, so in this case. Okay, I'm coming to end. Some also postdoctoral research related to rehabilitation and use of different sensors, how to train patients with amputees. So doing exercises, measuring their positions, checking, so like a virtual assistant or this medical personnel. And the latest projects where we are involved and they are challenging, and coming back, what I started is to collaborate with other partners from other disciplines. I try to respect other research directions, other disciplines, and try to work together with other people, but sometimes it's so confusing. But I'm sure we will have good results, what we can present next conferences. I talk about VR use cases in social sciences, because in last Stratcom conference we already saw virtual reality game for teaching, for understanding fake news, and so there is potential, and such things are developing in the world. Okay, thank you for your attention. Last slide. Why I'm so busy these days is organizing this international hackathon with mentors from different places. It starts this evening. We are preparing already now, technically, and what I would, if someone's staying also till Sundays, and on Sunday around 3 to p.m. there will be a possibility to try different technologies and these new ideas which will be developed in just like 3 days, but teams are preparing, and I'm sure that it will be very, very interesting. Okay, thank you for your attention. Atis didn't interrupt me, so.
Thank you very much, Arnis. Yeah, it was. It all was the technologies which are developed, which are maintained in our University of Applied Sciences. Yeah, so, and I think we are leading in Latvia and maybe even around. Yeah. So I think we have time for some questions. Yeah, some. I don't see. Of course, we can meet Arnis every time here. He said, and you visited him yesterday, and yeah, thank you very much, Arnis. Anymore.
Thank you.
The next presentation we have from Egypt. Yeah, our friend Professor. Salem from Ansheims University. He's the only person whom I know who has been in pyramids inside. Yeah, so I think it's very, very important from our position. Yeah, because we all dream on it. Yeah, but it doesn't happen. Yeah, and his presentation is artificial intelligence technology in smart learning and education, methodologies, applications, and challenges. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, this one. Okay.
Yeah, it's working. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much, Professor Atis. Thanks for all organizers of this interesting conference, interesting meeting. Really, I'm very happy to be here for the fourth time. First time, it's I think 10 years ago during a conference, and then the second and third And this first time for me during what's called the International Week Erasmus Plus program. My talk here, first I am from Ain Shams University. Ain Shams University, it means the eyes of the sun. This is the logo. It's oldest university. This my lab, this logo of my lab, of artificial intelligence lab, applications in this Nefertiti, of course, Queen of Egypt, 7,000 years ago, and this is an Egyptian writer, 7,000 years ago, this man writes on a stone. This is my talk. I will concentrate on the concepts of the artificial intelligence as a technology, and I will skip the technical slides. This is the objective, main objective of my talk. This is a very important slide about the meaning of artificial intelligence. The meaning of artificial intelligence is a science and a technology. This slide shows the interdisciplinary science of AI. Here we have computer science plus linguistics, biology, psychology, philosophy, mathematics, engineering, and library science. All these sciences constitute AI as a science. What's the goal? What is the goal of the AI? The goal is to developing intelligent software. Intelligent software. I will explain what's the meaning of intelligent software. Models, this software models the human behavior. This slide shows this is the answer of this statement. This intelligent software can thinking, the machine can thinking, sight, hearing, talks, walking like robots, and now the research in feeling, This is the meaning of intelligent software. What's the main features and the main characteristics of this intelligent software? This software has the ability of inference, reasoning, non-algorithm. We don't have algorithm like traditional programming and traditional computing. Perception, knowledge-based, not data-based. And I will explain the meaning of knowledge-based, not database systems. Problem solving has ability of learning, can learn itself as a human. This is the main characteristics and the main features of the intelligent software. In other words, artificial intelligence models human behavior. Here we have tasks or domains, and here we have technologies. Technologies. What's the difference? For domain, we have medicine domain. This is the domain. Inside this domain, we have rehabilitation. This is surgery. This is biology, law, economy, management, tourism, all domains. Here we have technology, expert systems. It's a big technology. One of the biggest technology in the AI as a technology. We have expert system. We build expert system, for example, for cancer diagnosis. To build this system, expert systems for cancer diagnosis, it takes minimum 5 years. 5 years, because it is a prototype and research stage and evaluated, and then you can have this system. Vision systems, vision system, natural language understanding, to dealing with hearing and speech system. Robotics for motor robotics. Intelligent tutoring systems instead of tutor. This is in education. In education, we have a big area of research about how to develop and design what's called intelligent tutoring systems instead of the tutor. And there is a big conference, international conference. The number of attendants in this conference is named AI in Education only. There is a biggest conference in the world in AI, which is called HCAI. HCAI is the biggest conference of artificial intelligence, but we now have two biggest conference also, one in education and the other one in law, AI in law. The number of participants about 1,000. Now, here we have entertainment, intelligent games, big industry for entertainment. Now, recently we have big data analytics and big data information and data mining and knowledge discovery. This is the research areas of the AI as a science. We have reasoning, components, knowledge engineering, action and perception, cognitive modeling and computing, connectionist models, a lot of AI planning and scheduling, a lot of research. This is the HCAI conference, started in 1969. The number of this event, about 3,000 participants from all over the world. The next conference will be in China. In China this year, then 2020 in Japan, and this is, you can find the website, all information and all tracks and. This is about the cognitive informatics, cognitive computing. Now, it's a big event to be more intelligent as a software. Cognitive science, this is the disciplines of the cognitive science. We have psychology, philosophy, neural sciences, automatic control, a lot of disciplines. What's the topics? What is the topics of the cognitive sciences? Look here, memory. How's the memory of the human working? Vision, learning, stress phenomena, a lot of perception, problem solving. Okay, this is the sciences. We use the intelligent software to convert this into computing. This is also the conference only in computing and cognitive informatics. This is the next conference will be in Italy, in Milano. Okay. About the what's called a smart e-learning system. Smart e-learning systems, all also to be smart learning system, you should combine all these disciplines. Cognitive sciences, AI as a sciences, educational sciences, life sciences. Okay? Now as a moda now is smart. Smart cloud computing, Internet of Things, Internet of Everything, Internet of anything. Okay? Now this is a model now, smart. What's the meaning of smart? What's the difference between smart and intelligent? It's big questions. I was attending 2 years ago a workshop in Athens, in all participants from philosophy, and I asked the philosophers, what's the difference between smart and intelligent? They talk about five hours. Talk so late, philosophers. This is the features. This is the features of the what's called smart e-learning systems. Smart e-learning systems are, this is my definition, are intelligent software that imitates the human mind. We have a lot of types, healthcare, education, commerce. are knowledge-based system, not data-based, based on many disciplines, AI, virtual reality, augmented reality, cognitive sciences, all these is smart. What's the main characteristics? Main characteristics of these smart e-learning systems: ability of inference, ability of reasoning, ability of perception. This is my definition for the word smart e-learning. About the AI in education. AI in education, this is very important. The field of AI in education has become the most challenging area in the last several years. AI provides a variety of methodologies and theories about reasoning and inference. This is a very important issue. The hypothesis derived from AI theories can inform curriculum, pedagogy, and potential roles of computers in education. The goal, what is the goal of this topic? To deliver knowledge-based educational software used in real teaching, learning, and training. This is the main. I make analysis for this conference, AI in education, during the last 10-year periods, and this is the topics. This is the sub-areas of AI in education. A lot of areas, okay? You have here knowledge structure, tools and shells to build, intelligent systems. Look to the intelligent system. AI intelligent system, you can look. Intelligent tutoring systems, intelligent multimedia system, educational robotics. Educational robotics. This is a lot of teaching aspects, assessment, learning aspects, a lot of sub-areas. About the intelligent tutoring systems. Intelligent tutoring systems are smart computer tutor and they typically have an expert model, student model, instruction modules, and interface. Intelligent tutoring system can adjust, this is the main features, adjust its tutor to the student's knowledge, experience, strengths, and weaknesses. It may be even also to carry on natural language processing. You can dealing with your natural language process. Another, this is a technical, this is the main components, architecture of the ideal ITS, intelligent tutoring, this is the components. Also, we have big challenges here, and it's not easy to build these intelligent tutoring systems are complex to build and complex to maintain. Maintenance is very difficult task. ITS face the knowledge acquisition difficulty, how to collect the knowledge. This is very difficult. Productivity of ITS development is determined by efficiency of the knowledge representation techniques. We have a lot of techniques and reasoning methodologies. Also, this is the last conference, will be United States, 2000 in June. This is knowledge engineering, sub-area from the AI, dealing with knowledge. We have here, nice definition, knowledge engineering deals with the development of intelligent information systems, intelligent information systems in which knowledge and reasoning play a pivotal role. Here we have a lot of sub-areas to dealing with knowledge. Knowledge acquisition, how to collect the knowledge acquisition. Knowledge representation, knowledge management, knowledge discovery, a lot. And about reasoning, we have a lot of reasoning techniques. This is the meaning of knowledge. Knowledge is power. Now, knowledge is power. From the AI point of view, AI perspectives, we have two types of knowledge. Static knowledge and the dynamic knowledge, or heuristics knowledge. This is the dynamic knowledge, static knowledge, which is in the libraries. In the libraries, all libraries contains books. This is static knowledge, the data. This book contains knowledge about finance. This is economy. This is physics. This is solid state. This is a static knowledge. This is the Alexandria Library. You are welcome. It's not a library. It's very fantastic. Big culture center, theaters, cinemas, restaurants, a lot. This is dynamic knowledge. This is very important slide. Heuristics knowledge. These figures, these photos for Egyptian experts in some domains. The first one is my professor in nuclear reactors. He is specialized in nuclear physics, nuclear reactors. He don't know solid states. He don't know optics. Yeah, nuclear reactors. He got his PhD. He passed away 1956 from Liverpool. The second one, Boutros Ghali, diplomatics. Previous Secretary of United Nations. He knows only politics, political man. Third one, Sadat, Nobel Prize, Mahfouz in arts, 1988. In arts, Nobel Prize, this man. This man, my friend, Captain Gohri, coach, football coach. He knows only football, not basketball, not tennis, not ping pong. Who is the expert? This is very important. Who is expert? Look, an expert is one who knows more and more about less and less. This is not my statements. This is a definition. Not any one expert, no. An expert is a person who does not have to think he knows. You should, when you make a questionnaire, you should select who is the expert in the domain. This is a doctor in habilitations, and this is surgery, and this is a father of statistics in Egypt, is experts. This is about representation techniques. How to represent our knowledge. We have a lot of techniques from the computer science point of view. We have three methods, frames, semantic net, ontology, production rules, a lot of cases, a lot of techniques. This is very important to represent after you collect the knowledge from the experts or from the book, how to represent it to dealing with the computer. This is about the reasoning techniques. About the reasoning, we have a lot of reasoning techniques. Okay, we have temporal reasoning, common sense, fuzzy logic, model-based, case-based reasoning, a lot of techniques. This is nice book about the knowledge. I give this book for my students, first year students of Faculty of Computer Science, about the knowledge, philosophy, written by a philosopher from UK. And this is another book, Reasoning About Knowledge. This is also free of charge, you can download it. This is some examples from the very famous, which is called production rule, if-then conclusion. This is a fantastic rule or technique to represent the knowledge and the reasoning. For example, if the patient has high fever, and the patient has headache, and the patient has a stiff neck, then treat immediately for meningitis. This is production rule, if-then. Another types, which is called rule of thumb. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. An orange a day keeps the doctor away. This knowledge comes from grandfather and mother. Okay, this is father rules. Another rules with certainty factors. This is another rules with fuzzy Zada, Professor Zada in the middle, and this is my with Zada in Košice, Slovakia, 2000. He invited to give a keynote speaker about not artificial intelligence, computational intelligence, CI, not AI, computational intelligence. Is the father of the founder of fuzzy. What's the meaning of fuzzy term? What's the meaning? Good result. Good. What's the meaning of good? What's the meaning of high classification? High accuracy. What's the meaning of high? This is a fuzzy term. What's the meaning of down? This is from the market economy. If the interest rate outlook is down, then don't buy money market funds. Here, down. This man, converted all these fuzzy terms into mathematics. He established what's called function, mathematical function, for example, this is for slow and medium and test to be computed. Fuzzy logic, the founder, Zada. About the my applications about in intelligent health informatics, also this another word, another big word, intelligent health informatics. We have, look here, we have dental informatics, neuroinformatics, bioinformatics, medical informatics, nursing informatics, okay? Clinical informatics, and others maybe. Look to the medical. My group working on medical informatics. We have good publications, about 300 publications in medical informatics only, about 350 of them in Scopus. Medical informatics, we have a lot of branches. We have robotic surgery, educational, medical and the training education, medical knowledge engineering, medical imaging, medical expert systems. We have also publication in medical expert systems. Look to the medical imaging, sub-areas, very, very difficult and very rich areas of research. Medical imaging, image acquisition, image processing, image analysis, image understanding. Look to the image analysis, feature extraction, how to noise, to remove the noise. We have noise techniques, computer intelligent techniques to remove the noise, to extract the features, classification, segmentation, and a lot of. This is pharaonic Egyptian medicine, ancient Egyptian medicine. It's fantastic. Oh, sorry. This, for example, if you like to study intelligent medical informatics, look to the roots. The roots. You must study medical sciences, informatics, artificial intelligence. Informatics means computer science. Okay? This is the roots. Look to the branches. This is the branches. This is the tree of bioinformatics, biology. Put here, biology, biological sciences. Okay, biological sciences, botany, insects, zoology, and. This is about the big data analytics. This is the big data analytics. Now, big data, multidisciplinary field of research. We have machine learning or computational intelligence techniques, software engineering, information mining. I will explain my meaning of information mining. Data engineering, how to store the data, how to retrieve the data. Big data analytics, here is the 6 V's now. Velocity, volume, variety, and. I have, Professor. Two? Okay. Okay. This is about data mining. And knowledge discovery. Aim to extract useful information and discover some hidden patterns and the new rules from huge amount of databases, in which statistical approaches cannot discover these hidden patterns. Huge, what's the meaning of huge? It's a fuzzy term. Big or huge, 50 mega, huge, or 100 mega, or 2 giga, or it's now social media terms of giga. Also, this is the computer science. This is the steps, how to produce knowledge. This is about the tasks, the techniques, mining tasks. This is techniques. This is, we have good research in this area of research. Classification of e-learning. We could have publication in slow learners in English language for kinders. This is about using rough set to determine thrombosis diseases. The main benefits here, this system helps young physicians to predict the thrombosis disease. Predictive rules to determine the thrombosis disease. Search for patterns specific sensitive to thrombosis. This is about case-based reasoning, a big technique, computational intelligence technique, borrowed from doctors, from the physician. Case means list of features, list of attributes. The physician dealing with the man or the medical records, health records, is all these records as a case. Also, it can apply it in medical diagnosis, molecular biology, robotics, business, and others. This is the methodology, the computer. This is a case based for cancer diagnosis. This is the knowledge acquisition of cancer, types of cancer. My student stay at the Faculty of Medicine 1 year to know the terminology of cancer and then this is liver cancer case, architecture. This is bio-inspired computing from biology, the famous one, artificial neural net. We have genetic algorithms, okay? Swarm intelligence, all are borrowed from biology. This is the artificial neural net for brain tumor diagnosis. Also have publications about the ontological engineering, sub-area of knowledge engineering, and sub-area from artificial intelligence. Ontology is a knowledge representation technique. Simply, knowledge representation technique. This is web-based lung cancer ontology, our product. We have 6 publications in this. This is lung cancer. This is the ontology developed by OWL, web-based ontological language. It's very easy. Okay, it's not the conclusions, yeah. This is current research, our current research. This is our conferences. We organized every 2 years a big conference, IEEE conference in December. Professor Atis attending 1 of them. Professor Sarma attending 2 of them. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Abdel Badeh, for this landscape presentation of knowledge space. Yes, it was very impressive. Maybe question? Yeah. Yeah, but here Abdel Badeh will be all the day and today evening especially. And we had five keynotes, yeah, and my impression is that European Commission in Horizon 2020, they try to design this ecosystem of challenges. We are trying in university design the ecosystem of solutions, yeah? And we have to find the most effective interaction, most effective communication among solutions and among ecosystem of challenges. And I think the best expert we have in this field is Jānis Folkmanis. Yeah, he has been working in Brussels for more than 20 years since I know him. Yeah, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Kas par to visu maksās? Who is going to pay for all of this? And how? Horizon 2020, as I'm sure you know, is the EU's R&I program, and it's developing starting from 2021, because each framework program. Each period of financing lasts only 7 years. We're defining the next one, and it's called Horizon Europe, starting from 2020, 2021. Just like that. I have to, like that. Okay, I've got it. I'm pressing the wrong button. The Horizon 2020 covers all areas. So, as Atis said, challenges, and I mean, challenges are many, many, many. The way we try to organize them changes every time, not a little driven by politics. You need to look at that, but it changes for every framework program. Of course, the Horizon 2020 system, as probably most of you know, is very different from the regional funds. The regional funds, I know that some of the departments here are receiving money from those. You send your proposals to Riga, or the university does. For Horizon 2020, you send your proposals directly to Brussels. They're evaluated in Brussels. And what I'm going to talk about is about the machinery in Brussels that is doing this, and a little bit about what you need to look at. Finally, it is consortium only, so you need to find international friends. Unless you have international friends, you're not going into this. First of all, the objectives of Horizon 2020 for this period, number one is excellence. If you're competing in the Olympics, if you're throwing the javelin as a man, you need to attain 83 meters. If you can't do that, don't even think about going in. And that may sound daunting, but first of all, in science and technology, it's not black and white like so and so many meters. But secondly, it can be achieved, and it has been achieved by at least one team here at Vidzemes Augstskolā, and that's Ginter Major, whose proposal has been accepted and will be starting in October. I think it's the first from Vidzemes Augstskolā. In Framework 7, okay. So you know. So I will not go through too much to that, but that principle is essential. The political driving force was Innovation Union. So there was a political logic whereby the governments can argue we need to release the money to create growth and jobs. The goal of 3% public spending on R&D is a continual goal. We haven't got there. We're at 2 point something on average through the EU. Some countries have achieved it, others have not. And it is an important baseline. And this really is only R&D. Horizon 2020 does not include the education part. And we all know that education is a key, if you like, connected objective, political objective. So this is really R&D. SME participation, small to medium-sized enterprises, should be about 20% of the budget, and we're on track for that. Target spending for sustainability, topic essential. It's in the Commission priorities, saving the planet. Target spending for sustainability, 60%, climate change, 35%. Climate change we will achieve, sustainability, I think, as well. That was for Horizon 2020. What did that mean in the implementation? It meant that, first of all, you need science and technology, and in order that one can retain objectives which are oriented towards innovation, but still do the science, the European Research Council was created. There you send your proposal as a scientist, it's evaluated by scientists, and the best get funded. The agencies were put in place because in the past, the European Commission, officials like me, would manage the proposals. A project officer would have 10 to 15 proposals. In the agencies, they actually have more. They have between 50 and 60. The project grant system also actually changed going into Horizon 2020 to give 100% funding for research and 70% funding of the additional costs incurred to the organizations applying for this, 70% for innovation proposals going into commercial use. Finally, there's also something called InnovFin, and the InnovFin is a way of accessing grants and equity for a company who is doing R&D. And it's actually managed not by the Commission, but the European Investment Bank. And that is also part of Horizon 2020. It will change a little bit in Horizon Europe. The use of the technology readiness level, it's something defined by the OECD, and it goes from 1 to 9. 1 is pure research, 9 is commercial application. So you can imagine the stages in between. And this is used quite actively in defining the work programs. So you need to look out for that. If there's a TRL of 3, then new ideas, thinking on the academic end are very welcome. If you're at TRL 6, you've got to put demonstrators in place. You've actually got to put realization of your ideas into practice in the proposals. The higher TRLs get more money, which is logical because you need equipment. Partnerships have been put in place in a number of places: Factory of the Future, hydrogen, energy efficient buildings, a lot of key topics where the money is ring-fenced around a certain set of partners who co-contribute, not in money but in kind. Well, some of the partnerships are money, joint undertakings, others are in kind. And in these partnerships, they are then open in the calls. So you can still get access in the standard way through consortia to the partnerships. This is all counting for next year, and it's the system which is in place now. It will evolve slightly. The SME instrument for single small to medium-sized enterprises with a very good idea in 3 phases. You can get your business plan written, you can then implement to about 2 million, and then a final assessment. Single finance and contract scheme. These 2 points, single finance and contract scheme, time to grant and time to proposal. A lot of complaints before Horizon 2020 that things were taking too long. These are ways of imposing on the agencies a much faster reaction. And this also is being achieved in Horizon 2020. Finally, and some see it a little bit in contradiction to excellence, but it shouldn't be, and it doesn't need to be. And that is that there is a special budget for, in clever ways, trying to expand the community of those applying for proposals. And this includes, by the way, the Eastern European partners, which are called new member states still today, even though it's more than 10 years. But nevertheless, this scheme allows for organizations which haven't been in before to approach the program in various ways, and that will be expanded. For Horizon 2020, it was 800 million. So just a quick look at what happened actually 6 years ago, but it's important because it's staying, the trend is staying this way. In FP7, the Commission did everything. You know, the previous frameworks, it did everything. It constructed the work program, discussed it with the member states, constructed the call for proposals and sent it out, evaluated the proposals which came in, did the selection, did a negotiation with the selected consortia, managed the project, 3 to 5 years typically, and finally did a program assessment. Today, this has shifted to the agencies. So the Commission does still define the work program, it does still look at the way, it does still discuss with the member states and find the way to a good work program, but the call for proposals is managed by something called the Common Support Service. It's in DG RTD, and the agencies do the part of evaluation, selection, although the Commission has to approve, and negotiation. The project management is then also done by the agency. The project officers are in the agency. And finally, the Commission is doing the assessment of what works and what doesn't work. What changes in Horizon Europe? Excellence stays there for the scientific and technological base. That's for both science and for technology. That's stated in the proposal. There was always an implied openness, but now specific tools, open data, you have to, in your proposal, be prepared to release your research data unless you have a special commercial reason. There can be exceptions, but for the future, it will be important to release your research data and well, release it in the sense of make it available to the community. Innovation is in focus. Breakthrough innovation, I'll talk about it in the implementation, is an important one. Innovation which is completely free and is not specified by a work program topic. You send in what you think is going to be breakthrough and what can make things work. It will be a very open system of sending in your proposals. There will be proposals, there was a proposal made by the Commission to include industry policy in the legal base. This is a legal technical issue, but the member states didn't like this. So we have a discussion still ongoing, and I think the member states are going to win, as the member states are in fact the bosses in the EU system. And that is a bit of a shame, because it would be nice to have a stronger connection to industry policy and industry, a political logic to industry policy. But it looks like we won't have that. And there is gradual refinement. You don't see that very much outside of Brussels, but there is a refinement of the economic indicators, which is ongoing, managed by the chief economist in DG RTD, and there is a continual improvement of those economic indicators, which are then used. You can read about the results from those in the documents used to justify the politics and the assessments done by the Commission. And so there is a refinement ongoing. So innovation and the innovation process is coming more and more in the focus, and we're trying to cover more elements of that process. The Sustainable Development Goals, they are written large in the objectives of the new program. And although we probably won't have the target system of the 60%, 35% we had last time, nevertheless, there is very strong political pressure to have this, and it will, if you like, filter through, certainly, to the various parts of the program. And 3% of public spending, that is, if you like, a perennial goal. We're still trying to get us from the Commission side, trying to convince the member states that they should go in this direction. Implementation. Effectively, for Horizon 2020, 2/3 of the program was taken to agencies. Now, all of the program, with some small exceptions, but just about all of the program will be managed by agencies. And the agencies may restructure a little bit from the ones I mentioned, but generally the scheme will stay the same. However, the debt, the loan, and the equity part for innovative projects managed by the EIB will be merged into a new program called InvestEU, which will be run together with the European Strategic Fund on Investment. And so that will, if you like, be taken out of the R&D part, and instead there will be an R&D window within the investment program run by the EIB. That is a structural change, and RTD will no longer have the responsibility for that. Missions and partnerships. I mentioned the partnerships before, ways of bringing together those interested in a particular sector, green car, factory of the future. And missions will be something additional to that, which will have a specific and measurable goal. At the moment, the definition is still in process, but the proposals are 5, and I now don't have them by memory, but they include healthy oceans, they include healthy soil, they include CO2 mitigation, and there are, the list was made public recently on the 17th of April, but there's a list of the specific missions which are currently in discussion. The European Innovation Council will be created. Now, at the moment, this looks like it's mainly what I've described as the SME instrument, But there will be other tools like the accelerator. There will be a number of different instruments which are still in construction. So watch that space. It's there in order that, and it's, I mentioned the breakthrough. It's there to capture the breakthrough ideas. So it's a way for, I am an entrepreneur, I have this idea with new technology, I send it in, and the European Innovation Council decides whether we fund, and you fund. Finally, widening will get 4 times more money. At the moment, it's standing in the proposal, the Commission proposed a little bit less, but finally, in the discussion between Parliament and the Council, we're arriving at something over 3 billion over the 7-year period, which is 4 times more than at the moment. What exactly it will be has not been defined, because as you can see, we're working towards 2021, so a lot of the thinking and ideas development is still underway now. And in widening, if you have ideas of what might work to introduce new organizations, maybe the companies around here, into the program, then this is the time to get in touch with, if you like, the Brussels machine, and to speak about what exactly that could be and what those mechanisms should be. Finally, a few words, but I'll be very, very quick because we're way past my finishing time. Project participation, I also already mentioned it must be a consortium. Important to look at the reading roles between partners, but those who have done it, talk to those who have done it. This number 1, I think, in this room, who's done it several times. That's an important part of the process. It's not always easy if all you've been doing is working mainly on your own and your own team until now. Network of evaluators, there's an evaluator, there's groups of evaluators in each area, and it's important to watch where they are looking and who they are, to understand where the wind is blowing, because that's an important part of the process. Work program preparation is done by the Commission, but there are usually consultations before that. If you have topic areas, like VR here, virtual reality here, which you feel need strong representation, do look out for the consultation process. Do get involved in the consultation. Sometimes it can just be writing something. Sometimes you can take a plane to Brussels and take part in a meeting. But getting involved in that process means that you can push the agenda you would like into the EU arena, and of course everybody does this, so you're in competition perhaps, or you're all pushing in the same direction, which is even better. And finally, there is the program committee in member states. In Riga, you will have representatives on each program committee of each topic area. You should know who that is, and I'm sure it certainly was in countries where I have helped write proposals before I was in the Commission, which was actually mainly Germany, and we were always informing the program committee member. And just so that they know and they're aware of proposals coming from their country. Finally, I won't speak on this, you can see it, sustainability, I mentioned it very briefly. It will come in as a major criterion, perhaps for selection, but certainly, if you like, in the general perception. And if your project does cover sustainability in some way, it will be an advantage. And if I think, for example, the program I've worked very closely to in the past, energy, the director responsible at that time, she said, every project will be sustainable from my program. And we did this because we wrote it in the work program, and if it's in the work program, then that's it. Now, for energy, this is almost a no-brainer. It's a very obvious thing to do. But in other sectors, it's not so obvious. And so this is something that can come more and more into here. Strong political focus on sustainable development goals, and there will be ways of assessing this, something called environmental accounting, which is in development, and climate change tracking. I'm going to stop there. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Jānis. It was very very impressive, very good knowledge. Yeah, there's a question from Ginta.
For Marie Curie. Marie Curie will continue, Erasmus will continue. I haven't spoken about them here, there's too much to do, but to my knowledge, there's no real change. There is a discussion on the volume of money, etc., but in principle they will continue. They will continue in the same form.
Some more questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. Two parts to this. One part is the European Research Council, which continues. So for universities, research institutes, that system of peer review continues. For the European Innovation Council, the system is not yet in place. I mean, the technical managers of whatever it's going to be will be the agencies. But also in the case of the Commission, I mean, the Commission, when the Commission was looking after the program, we never evaluated ourselves. We brought in experts and managed the peer review. But for the European Innovation Council, I don't have an answer for you yet. So watch for something called the Horizon Europe Strategic Program. And that should define a lot of things, including the missions, including the partnerships, but also the way, the mechanisms for selection and for access to the European Innovation Council. But I don't have an answer yet for you. It's still being created.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it looks next other questions. Before dinner, I have the pleasure to issue the certificates to our keynote speakers. Yeah. So, thank you very much.
Yes, paldies.
Yeah, now we finished the first part. We have dinner. I assume maybe it would be nice to come back 2:15. Yeah, it's a little bit delay, but I think we will be efficient. According plan, we had in 2, yeah, but we what? Kāpēc? Bet kāpēc šeit? Oh, bet vēlāk, visu sāks vēlāk. Nu jā, nu tas nekas. Nu tas nekas, nu nevar paēst tik ātri. I think we need 1 hour for lunch. Yeah, it's we can't make lunch shorter. Everything we can make. Yeah, rector. You remember the rector's speech from yesterday on regarding to food. Yeah. Yeah.